Welcome to the Ultimate Crysta Guide, where you will learn everything you need to learn about the newest hunter in Supervive. Crysta is a high mobility hunter with a very good possibility of bursting you, one-shotting you down as a mage. I would say that Crysta is probably the living embodiment of float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. Crysta is a kiting hunter that likes to jump around its victim, chipping it down piece by piece before brutally one-shotting them. I think that one of the things you want to be looking for as a Crysta player is spacing around walls and keeping control of an area. Now, Crysta is a DPS hunter, but I think that Crysta plays very similar to control hunters because of her abilities. Without further ado, let's go through what her abilities do. First, let's talk about Crysta's passive. When you attack an enemy, you will apply a mark, but only with RMB and with your detonation bomb. Now, to detonate the mark, you will have to LMB the target or ult the target. This works in the same way as with Ceph, so the marks are going to be very important. If you detonate the mark, you gain 30 mana and 2 seconds reduced charge time on double dash. This is very important because a lot of Crysta is going to deal with movement. Now, her LMBs are quite slow. Doesn't feel like it will do much, but her kiting potential is big. Now, let's get over to the second part. Her RMB. This throws out kind of a boomerang that bounces on walls. This makes it so you can counter people by them engaging because it will go around them. This is very important. So if you are in a tight scenario, one thing you want to be doing is either you'll be fishing with your RMB, trying to hit it. This can also be comboed together with your dash. So in that sense, you'll be RMBing, maybe then dashing to maybe drag it into another angle. This also goes then over to your dash, which means that you have 2 dashes or 2 dash charges, which empowers your LMB auto attacks. This is where the passive comes in. When you dash, you also get 2 LMBs that are empowered. This plays into stacking up and playing around marks to be able to be a movement god, basically. The bomb, you can set out, which will then be able to reapply it. You can cast it early if you want to detonate it. This is also a great peeling tool. So what you want to do in general, comboing RMB as a kiting tool and often thinking about placing the bomb on yourself because it's harder for enemies to get through if you're waiting for your shift to get back up again. And then, what everybody has been waiting for, of course, the ultimate. This is what you want to be hitting your marks with. You mark an enemy and then you blast them with bazookas. This is going to be very interesting. When you are going to be team fighting as a Crysta, the main things you want to be looking for is kiting potential and playing around walls. Your RMB is a great poking tool, but also a good setup tool because of being able to ground your enemies. Your Q ability, the bomb, is a great tool for peeling. This is something you want to think about in the same way as Void, where either you can hold a choke with it, or you can also put it on yourself to hold an enemy off going onto you. Now, this is where you want to be elementing in with your shift to be able to dash back and forward, use your empowered LMBs. This is the DPS element. The DPS element is using your passive to proc with your LMB and your abilities, and then using your core RMB and Q to kite and keep yourself alive. I highly recommend maxing shift. I'll be showing a skill order here that I recommend. Now you'll see this doesn't include the LMB because it doesn't have that on the website because of the new update, but I highly recommend getting the level 4 shift because this means that when you proc the passive, you also get a reset on your shift. Now what this means is that you will be weaker early game. You are a hunter that will scale into the late game. So make sure that you play passively, farm up in the start and get your levels. But the moment you get to the mid to late game and you start getting points into RMB, Then you start hitting more ability proc passives, but your mobility is going to be so high, so you always have a chance of dealing good chunk of damage. Now onto my recommended build on Crysta. One would be the double tech build, or the other, if you're not as familiar playing without mana items, will be a tech plus mana item. Now saying this is because abilities is going to be a core part about her kit. Using your shifts a lot, making sure you fish with RMB, but also always have your Q ready. Now, so what I will say is that you will want to take the gamble item basically on your first, hold, get a second tech blade, and then get interweaver. I think this is gonna be a good core for her because you want to be playing around cooldown reduction. Now, if you're not as familiar playing with the double tech and you don't feel comfortable with it, I would say the easy build will go tech and mana, you go interweaver, and you go rampage. You do want to be playing around the stacks, always keeping yourself in the fight, in the danger zone, but making sure that you keep the max range and always proccing your LMB procs via your shift. And powered autos will be hitting like a truck. Now, you might be wondering, how can I counter Crysta? If I'm not gonna become a Crysta main, what can I do to play against her? Now, the main thing you want to be focusing about is looking at her RMB. This is the grounding ability that will stop a lot of your engages. Now, if you like DPS hunters, many of them will be playing with range. You do have a lot of possibilities to outrange a Crysta. Her ability range is not the super far compared to other hunters. Now, if you're more of a melee hunter, the main thing you want to be looking for is flanks. Now, running straight at a Crysta will be really hard because of her kiting potential. So you need to surprise, either come from air or come from the flank. These are the main things you want to be looking for. But if you can play around the RMB or if you can play around air, this is where you want to try to force Crysta to use her mobility before you land onto her, because then you can sacrifice some of your HP to keep sticking onto Crysta. This is the main things you want to be looking for. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and then I hope to see many of you guys out on the skylines, either trying out Crysta or making everything you can do to destroy the Crysta players. I'll be streaming every day this coming week, so hope to see you there, and peace out.